Hey, Emma,
Yes, Madeline.
did you know there's a term that's used in the Olympics for cheating, both in gymnastics and in swimming?
No, I didn't. What is it?
It's unfair flips. Hello, and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your vegetarian host, Madeline.
Sure. I'm your 20% heads host, Emma.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's show. This week, we're talking about Pandora's Tower, and we're talking about unfair flips. Calling it now, the odds of a successful mashup are low.
Wait, there's a super easy one, but we'll get there.
Okay. I'm glad that Emma feels that way, because I'm like, I got nothing.
First, though, we're talking about Pandora's Tower.
So yes, old game Pandora's Tower is a 2011 RPG from Ganbarian, which was published by Nintendo for the Wii. It didn't originally come to North America. That happened in 2013 with Xseed as part of a real push by Western fans to bring over some of these games.
Yes, this was this is probably the least famous of the three main target titles of a fan group called Operation Rainfall. That was petitioning Nintendo to bring over these more JRPG-esque games to America, which they had not initially been intending to do.
Yeah, the other two games, The Last Story and Xenoblade Chronicles, which I think obviously the most famous of the three.
Yes. And I owned The Last Story on the Wii. Fun fact.
Look at you.
Not Pandora's Tower, though.
That's why I'm saying it was less successful. Just kidding. Yes, it did have a European release that Nintendo handled, which I guess is how people heard about it, probably.
Yeah, you'll notice, I believe all three of these, but these Operation Rainfall titles were dubbed by Nintendo Europe. So that's why Xenoblade is iconically British after all this time. Still.
So shout out to Nintendo's skepticism in the North American market, I guess.
And dubbing on this one is definitely also British. I don't remember about The Last Story.
It certainly kind of fits a fantasy setting should be British, right? We can all just kind of agree on that.
Sure.
They shouldn't have American accents in a fantasy setting. It's just wrong.
Okay, so what's your take about the Odyssey, Madeline?
Are they doing accents in the Odyssey?
No, they're doing American accents for Nolan's The Odyssey.
It should be in Greek, so I don't know.
You're right.
Like, Matt Damon should have to be speaking Greek with subtitles. That's my take.
Fair. Like ancient Greek, specifically.
My take is, are they going to do the scene where you control them as pigs?
In the movie, they hand you the controller and you are Matt Damon pig. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Just like in the source material Age of Mythology.
Yeah. So Pandora's Tower is you play as Aaron, who is very lightly a character, but is mostly, as the devs describe him, meant to be sort of just like a self-insert into the world for you. And one day, all of a sudden, this girl Elena, who Aaron is in love with, I guess they're in a relationship, is performing some sort of cool ceremony and is suddenly afflicted with a horrible curse that turns her into a monster.
Slug. Big slug.
Big slug, awful kind of monster. This merchant Mavda decides to help the two in their plight, takes them to a tower where they can sort of hide away, and says that Aaron has to go out to the other towers to find this sort of master flesh, this monster flesh from the various masters of those towers, and bring them back for Elena to eat in order to cure her of her curse. Elena, however, in this world, the religion that she's part of forbids the eating of meat, so this is a disturbing process for her. But the other option is turning into a monster herself, so that's also bad.
And it's a disturbing process for us all, really.
Yeah.
So, yes, these 13 towers that you have to climb and defeat monsters out of, you learn over the course of the game. Elena, in addition to having to chow down on meat to break her curse, every time she eats it, she also gets more information about this fortress with its towers and the scar, which is this giant rift under it that has appeared in the past few decades in this. They talk in various descriptions of this game and in various interviews about this game about this sort of intentionality of not doing a ton of world building here, so they could really focus in on the two, like the couple at its center. But you know, they're in like semi-generic fantasy warring world where people did some dumb things and opened a, pit to the underworld, basically.
There's a lot of world building if you go like out of your way to find it, essentially. Yeah. But the default experience of just going through the game, that's probably you might not find it.
Yeah. So it's like an action combat RPG with a heavy dash of Shadow of the Colossus vibes.
But it's also on the Wii.
Yeah.
And so makes use of the Wiimote.
A heavy dash of nunchuck vibes.
Yes. So you can play it with the classic controller, but the intended way is to play it with the remote and the nunchuck. And you sort of regularly control Aaron's melee attack of whatever weapon he has equipped at the time, of which he can do some simple combos, some simple charge combos, and various other things. But you also have this chain that the merchant Mavda gives you near the start, the chain of fate or whatever. It's imbued with the power of fate. It has a fancier name than that.
The Oraclos
chain, yeah. Hence fate. Oracle. Oraclos. Yeah. And you use this by pointing the Wiimote at the screen and targeting where you want to send your chain. So it works as a platforming tool as well as a combat tool. So you can do things like Mario spin your enemies around with your chain and then throw them, for instance. Or you can use it to zip up to various handholds or swing on various things. And with bosses, you can essentially kind of pull on them really hard to build up the tension meter that will do some real damage. That seems to be the main combat use case of the chain, because it can be a little finicky in battles with tons of enemies, but with one big enemy it's pretty useful.
They talk in interviews about being inspired partway through their process anyway, at the point where they decided they were going to use the nunchuck and not just the Wiimote, being inspired by Super Mario Galaxy, which I think you can kind of see in that sort of the puzzling and moving around.
Yeah. But when you aim with the Wiimote, it will sort of zoom in on where you're pointing and slow down time slightly, so you can get some finer control over it that you wouldn't otherwise.
It's a late life cycle Wii game, so
it's kind of neat, honestly.
Yeah.
I like the chain idea.
It's cool. It does mean that I'm going to say there's no way that they would make this game again.
I mean, you can, it does have controls that you can use with the classic controller.
No, I know. I'm just if what was, much of what is interesting about the combat in this game, which does not get universal rave reviews, is the Wii element of it. I think you'd have to totally reimagine that if you wanted to make Pandora's Tower 2. Pandora's Tour.
They've talked in interviews that they were not intending the action combat to be that difficult.
Yeah.
Or have like a really high skill ceiling or anything. In order for it to be appealing to a wide variety of players with sort of its atypical control scheme. But Pandora's Tower in general, in my sense of it, is it's very much a sum of its parts kind of game. I think they talked about this in one interview. I can't remember if it was the Iwata Asks or one of the other ones.
Always such a pleasure to talk about Wii U and previous games on the show, because there's always an Iwata Asks.
Yeah, no, it was the Iwata Asks. They literally said, like, if you took out individual elements of this, you could probably say, there have been games like this.
Yeah.
But combined, you get Pandora's Tower.
Yes. It was a game that did not have the easiest development process. I mean, they all seem very upbeat about it, talking to Iwata, but it took, like, almost 6 years, which, for a game that came out in 2011, was sure a long time.
Yeah, this was Gumbarion's first original game, and I think, like, still only original game.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a few in here that don't have Wikipedia links that might be original, but they are mainly a Shonen Jump game maker.
Yeah.
They've made a bunch of Dragon Ball games, a bunch of One Piece games, Jump Superstars, that sort of thing. And it was only after proving themselves making all these sort of jump games that Nintendo at some point was like, what about making an original? Do you think you'd like to do that? And they were like, yeah. You bet. But it doesn't seem like they were, because they'd been working with existing properties, a lot of the times they identified their weakness as, like, coming up with, like, story.
Yeah.
And world, because they didn't have to do that before, right? That was
you get handed One Piece. It's like, oh, that's there.
Yeah, like maybe you have to come up with some sort of new story within the realm of One Piece, but at the end of the day, like, it's just as long as it's semi-pleasing fan fiction, that's probably fine.
And it does sound like wrangling basically every piece of this game was difficult. Like the control scheme took time to figure out. They had this idea of, they said, well, we want it to be something pure that becomes impure, and then you purify it again. And, like, maybe pretty early on they decided that should be a woman, and it's, like, a couple, right?
Yeah, the Iwata Asks, some of it might be translation stuff, but
yeah.
Some of the stuff is like, oh man, yeah, these are old guys from over a decade ago, huh?
But then at the same time, they're like, oh, this core idea of the game, right? That this woman is going to have to eat this monster meat to get better. This anecdote is everywhere. They're like, how do we come up with this? Well, eating bentos on the train was kind of a big deal at the time, and two of us were on the train and someone was eating, and the producer was like, eating,
like a bacon sandwich specifically.
Yeah.
Apparently. Which I don't know. The convenience store food is better in Japan than it is here in America. But
yeah.
If eating Amtrak sandwich, as I have done sometimes,
I
kind of get like the you need to eat, but you kind of don't want to eat because this thing is barely food.
Yeah.
I feel the poetic appeal there,
I understand it, but it does feel like it points to this idea of, oh, this was not a team that came into this being like, yes, we have a game that we want to make, and it's this. It's oh my god, Nintendo dangled in front of us that we can make our own game. Like, grab it, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. They also talked about, at the time, there's a lot of talk about, like, carnivore girls and herbivore boys, which is the very direct translation of the terms that they would use. I think herbivore is still pretty widely used. I don't know about carnivore. But essentially, like, that was, like, forward. That meant, like, women were forward and men were shy and unassuming at the time, apparently. And that was shocking, right?
Yeah.
So... They took Carnivore Girl very literally.
But they also had a very hard time, it sounds like, getting Elena to be correct.
Yeah, so the balance of this game, the setup of this game, is Elena is waiting in this tower. She is always at threat of turning into a monstrous version of herself. And so when you are out in the towers, there's a literal timer that you can see that is like ticking down the time until Elena will turn into partial monster again.
Which is a game over state.
Well,
oh, sorry, partial monster. No, if you get all the way down,
if you entirely ignore her, it will turn into a game over state. Yeah. Yes, but I think there's a few stages of transformation before she is fully a monster.
Yes.
So the cycle is supposed to be you go out to these towers. You can harvest meat from monsters that aren't just the main monster, so you can bring meat back home. And you feed it to her to stop the timer from going down. It doesn't go down while you're home. And then you go back out into the towers, get more meat, make more progress, while the timer ticks down, and then go back and feed her the meat and all that sort of stuff. Essentially, the way they talk about it is, or the way they explain it, is essentially like work-life balance.
Which they seemed a little bit embarrassed about in that interview. They were like, we didn't really intend this to be a way that people actually talk about the game.
But they do talk about it that way themselves. So, yeah. But it's like, you go out, you earn your keep, right?
Right.
And maybe if you work longer hours, you can bring more money home.
Right, but your wife wants you home.
But, yeah, like, your wife would like to see you also. So maybe you do want to go home so that you can spend time with her. But you need money so that you can buy her gifts and stuff like that.
It's just like the Nintendo Salaryman commercial, really.
Yeah. But the cycle is supposed to be like, you should be spending time out in the tower, but eventually you should want to go home. And then once you've been home for a while, you should want to go out to the towers and then back and forth from there. But very late in development, the problem they were finding was that nobody wanted to go back to Elena.
They were annoyed by her. The gameplay was fun enough.
They're like, why do I have to go back? I'm just in the towers doing stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it sounds like one of their, I don't know, like female employees, I guess.
They did mention that it was a female staffer, which I found like, yeah, that sounds familiar to
They were like, actually, you need to make people feel bad for her, not fall in love with her.
Yeah. It seems like they were operating under the idea, this is me reading between the lines a little bit. Yeah. Because they talk about also they entirely redesigned her monster transformation.
Yeah, she was like too sexy is what it seems
cool
to be like.
Is how they described it.
Yeah,
like, but like to be like it was kind of like a cool transformation.
Yeah, like right? Maybe you want to be a monster slug.
Yes. But yeah, it does seem like they were operating under the assumption of like, if Elena is appealing enough, people will want to go back because she's attractive and likes you, and that's enough, right?
Goes along with the self-insert thing of Aaron.
Yeah. But the suggestion that was made is instead you should be making the player feel sympathy for her, which I was thinking about, and I think that makes sense because Elena is not a real girl.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for humans, we draw a face on something, like an eraser or a trash can, and then there's a little piece of our brain that feels bad when someone, like, breaks it or stomps on it.
Sure.
Right? Like, you have to, but we're not in love with the eraser or the trash can. We feel bad for it because we recognize ourselves in it, and that automatically identifies the part of the brain that feels bad, right? So the idea of sympathy is something that I think is much more attainable than love, because ultimately Elena is not a real person, but resembles a real person, and so can still sort of activate those desires in our mind.
And particularly when no matter what, I mean, I know we have more games now where, you know, like a Hades type thing, right? Where maybe you spend almost as much time back at base, quote unquote, as you do out playing the game, quote unquote. But I don't really think that's the case in Pandora's Tower. I don't think you were spending nearly as much time back home as you are spending out there whacking your nunchuck around. So of course it's going to be challenging to make the player want to take a break from that unless, yeah, you're able to hit them with some kind of like easy to lock in emotional gut punch quickly.
Yeah. So Elena in general will go and do things around the house. She'll cook, she'll clean. If you bring back like lore books that you found, she will translate them for you, which is usually a way that you get a bulk of the money that you can get in that game, because then you can sell the translated tomes to the merchant. You can bring her back gifts and she'll use them. Sometimes there'll be sort of random scenes of her doing various things around the house when you go and visit her. You can choose to use your money either on your own upgrades or other gifts and things for her.
And you better get her gifts or you're going to regret it at the end.
You can also, but also if you've waited a little bit, she will have gone through a partial sort of monster transformation, but she will still be attempting to like do the things around the house in a way that's often very hard to watch.
Yeah.
And like, for example, if you've given her new clothes, they will have ripped and you will have to repair them and give them back to her once she has recovered from her monster transformation. I find it very interesting because clearly this is very much like a damsel story. Like the girl is waiting for you,
yeah,
at the house, to save her from something that she can't save herself from.
Yeah,
but also it does feel like, I don't know. You could read into it of like living with a partner who has like some sort of disability, for example, right? Because it does feel like they attempted to give her like, she does things, right? Like she's not just like sitting there,
yeah,
waiting for you. She has some functional ways that she contributes to the household, right? And so I don't know. It's interesting, especially because the game is entirely built around that relationship. Like it's the fulcrum of the entire game in general.
And in the end,
it's just interesting.
How far you level up that relationship determines what ending you get.
Yeah. And it's pretty unlikely, apparently, although not impossible. It depends how completionist you are, essentially. But pretty unlikely that you will get the best ending on the first credit roll. Because it requires you to do everything, like, more than one time.
Yeah. Ultimately, I fear for me that Pandora's Tower, based on the reviews that I've read, is maybe more interesting on paper.
Sure.
Than in much of the execution. I mean, many of the towers are more or less copy-paste of each other with a slightly different boss at the top. So it's an interesting example of, I don't know, it's hard to even describe it as a game taking a big swing, right? It's just like a weird game that an actual, not even that weird, like a like a mildly odd game that had a real publisher behind it, which is something that existed in 2011,
right?
And maybe less so now.
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's kind of a unique structure that they ended up finding. It's one that I can't really think of any exact analogs for. You mentioned like Hades. It is kind of like that, but not quite.
Right.
Like, you don't have to. If you wanted to, you could ignore the house entirely every time you did Hades, and the game would attempt to progress regardless, right?
Yeah. No, it's kind of Hades. I mean, there's obviously elements that are... The gameplay is not like this at all, but like Persona-like to a certain extent of like you're going into the dungeon and then you're going back and talking to your pal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to a lot of things, but you're right that there's always like, oh, there's that one element that's not the same.
I think it's just like the time pressure of it, the necessity of going back home.
Yeah.
Like all these other things that have the sort of like battle life structure. You have to do the battle. You don't have to do the life part. And this putting like an emphasis like, no, you have to do the life part is interesting to me, I guess. I also admire, like you mentioned, that if you entirely let the timer run out, that's a end game state, but also the worst ending, official ending you can get, is if you like pay just the barest amount of attention to Elena, it will cut you off before you get to the last towers. I assume because the game's like, I guess you're not really interested. Yeah. Actually. So why don't we end it here?
Yeah, like that's
which enough. I think is also very interesting.
Also, Americans take note, or really I guess Europeans take note, the developers felt that original music would be too powerful for you.
Sure.
So yeah, it's interesting and very easy to point to as a game that is not going to get revived, I think.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It would be interesting to see someone create some kind of like now spiritual successor to this. I think you could do it. We like a dating sim, right? We like a romance element like this. We like run-based stuff. In many ways, a lot of what's going on here is quite trendy.
Yeah.
But you'd have to figure out a modernized combat system of some kind. Both one that isn't so, like, Wii dependent, but also, I think you'd have to Souls this up a little bit or something to get people really on the hype train.
I mean, I guess technically you could port it to the Switch without changes.
But that's not how people... You could. I'm not saying this game couldn't ever turn up as like a $5 eShop
No, I mean,
title.
I just mean that the Joy-Cons do still have the Wiimote functionality.
Yes.
So technically you could do it, but...
Nobody does, though.
I played The World Ends With You Final Remix, okay?
That's really the exception that proves the rule. I, too, did. So, I'm with you. Speaking of things that probably don't need to get remade in any way, ever.
What do you mean? You don't want the Unreal 6 remake of Unfair Flips?
Unfair Flips!
With real-time ray tracing off the coin?
Honestly, that'd be awesome. Like, this developer should make a $70 version.
That can be their next year April Fool's joke, you know?
That was really funny. This year's April Fool's joke, really funny. So Unfair Flips, boy, is not going to sound very interesting on first glance. In Unfair Flips, which came out in September, just for the PC, I would have gotten this, right? It's $2. I would have gotten it and tried it.
They're gonna announce the Steam machine price soon.
Oh, I thought you were like the price to play Unfair Flips on the Steam machine. I was like, that's
meant.
Probably still gonna be $199.
No.
Yeah, I missed the window. It's too late.
Oh,
you know, it was already expensive. I should just play games on the systems I already have. Anyway, I'm stalling here. In Unfair Flips, which came out for the PC from solo dev Heather Flowers in September. Well, here, let me read you the summary just to make sure you have all the lore here, because you wouldn't want to miss out. The year is 50,002. All of humanity has crumbled to dust. The only remnants are faceless creatures who wear masks of long extinct animals, repeating the systems of humans who have disappeared millennia ago. There is no war, but suffering abounds in the vast stretches of post-human eternity. Today, it is your turn to suffer.
Awesome.
So there's some world building for you for Unfair Flips. But here's the game. There's a coin. You click to flip it. You have to get 10 heads in a row. Done.
Yeah. Well, in keeping with its name, the coin starts rather than a 50-50 heads chance. It starts at a 20% heads chance.
Yeah.
And when you get a heads, you get a cent. And using your money, you can do things like upgrade your head chance, decrease your flip time, get more money from combo multipliers, and upgrade your base coin's worth. So you're flipping a penny at first, hence why you get a cent, and then you can upgrade it to a nickel, a dime, a quarter, and then a dollar coin. And then when you get heads, you will get more money so that you can keep increasing your heads chance, so that you can have a better chance of getting 10 heads in a row.
So this is the perfect example, I think, of a game that is designed for streamers to a certain extent. It's also, I think, raising interesting philosophical questions and psychological questions, right? But Unfair Flips is lucky that, like, the speedrunning community decided that they were interested in it.
Oh, sure. I mean, well, I don't know, but I can't imagine the cost to make Unfair Flips was a ton.
No, certainly not.
But yes, it certainly was picked up by streamers.
Like, there is already a history of streamers doing, like, the coin flip streams, right? With a normal coin, trying to get 10 heads in a row, because people will watch anything. And people love, as I guess we all know now, as we live in this, like, poly-market world, people love betting. People love games of chance. And people don't really understand how percentages work.
Yes. And it does feel like Unfair Flips is purposely designed, fully stripped down to really, like, illustrate that in people. It's fully there to activate that gambling, rationalizing side of your brain that says, like, oh, if I do this with the coin, it ups my chances, even though it absolutely does not.
Yes, I did read a little bit of speedrunning chatter online where, like, basically... So it's funny to talk about speedrunning this game, right? Because so much of it... And this is true of many speedruns, but also, I think, is true of many speedruns in a way that people often don't like, or that ultimately gets, like, ruled out of the game, right? Like, there are speedruns that are on, you know, stable seeds, or there are speedruns where it's basically like, well, we're gonna have a custom version of this on the PC where, like, we start with these stats or whatever, so the player doesn't have to, you know, restart 100 times to get the speed run, right? Like, there's a lot of the kind of random number stuff that theoretically goes into a world record sometimes gets ironed out of speedruns because, you know, the way these people make their money, assuming that they're doing this in a semi-professional way, but even just in the way that these people entertain their audience, like, it's boring to watch someone, you know, start a game over and over and over and over and over again just until they get, like, a good roll on stats to start. And obviously that's literally what this whole game is. There is not really skill. There is some meta to it, right? I mean, first of all, to quote my favorite Reddit post about this, there was someone who had, like, run the odds on how long it was going to take to win, like, a certain streamer to get it 200 times. And I want to quote Just the Lover and then For the Wolf. Just the Lover says, "It would only take me 10 flips." And For the Wolf says, "I heard flipping only heads is the current meta strategy."
Right.
which is true. But, well, there is definitely, and I read another interesting article that was sort of about the math behind it, and like how your odds increase in ways that don't feel intuitive to me, at least, but I understand mathematically how this works. As you, like, basically this stats post was like, at all costs, you should get to 40% heads flips before you do anything else. Because just going from 20% to 25%, it makes you 9 times faster finishing the game.
Yeah.
Like, statistically. Which, like, to me, that doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Wouldn't have guessed that. Might have guessed 4 times faster. Wouldn't have guessed 9 times faster. But yeah, like, if you just played the whole time with 20% heads chance, it would probably take you, like, 8 or 9 months to finish the game on average.
Yeah.
Or if you played the whole thing at a 25% chance, it would take you 30 days. And 40% chance, it would take you on average 9 hours. So that's still crazy, right? But crazy how probability works.
And also worth keeping in mind, I think, as this same post explains, like, your expected remaining time does not go down as time passes.
Right.
Your expected remaining time is always the same until it happens.
You're not pulling cards from a deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, at no point do the odds go down.
No. So, like, if you're flipping at 40% and you've been doing it for 2 hours, like, you don't have 7 hours left. You still have 9 hours left.
Yeah. Now, that said, this post did also call out, that average is inflated by the very, very, very unlucky players.
Well, yeah.
Which could be you, right?
But couldn't it be deflated by the very lucky players too?
He didn't get into that, so I don't necessarily understand how that works. I think it is probably because the distance between the time it takes you if you are very lucky and the time it takes you if you are very, very unlucky, and the mean is not the same.
That's fair.
So that's my math guess on that. But it makes speedrunning, like, kind of weird in a very competitive way, in my opinion, because normally, I guess, if you were watching someone go for a world record run in a speedrun, there is probably some level of skill involved. And while there is certainly a level of skill involved in beating this game more quickly than if you didn't know what you were doing, it does feel to me that getting the world record run in unfair flips is more or less purely a matter of getting lucky. Like the current world record is under 2 minutes. That can't have anything to do with that player's skill, in my opinion. That's just like a lucky run.
Not. It is not built in. The skill is not built into the game unless you played it on April 1st, where it was entirely skill.
Totally skill-based.
Entirely skill-based. And it's also worth mentioning that, so after you flip 9 heads, the game ignores whatever you've done to, like, up your heads chances at that point. And you have a chance of getting tails then, but also a chance of getting one of various endings, only one of which is getting your 10th heads, which is at a 10% chance, it tells you.
Which, I'll note, on speedrunning.com, they don't care about that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But you can get various other endings where your coin does something else as well. So if you're really going for 10 flips, like, the last one is really purely, like, we'll see.
Yeah. The game hates you.
Yes.
But it plays off so many interesting things. I mean, it plays off our misunderstanding of probability, but also, like, on top of that, perhaps our mistrust of video game probability specifically.
Sure.
As far as I've seen anyone write about, this game is honest about what it's telling you about the odds.
Yeah.
However, I don't think that it's, like, as far as I can tell, I read a little bit about someone being like, actually the way to crack this for a speed run is, so the bear guy in the back like drinks. Like as you're flipping. Sorry, I said that as if anyone knew what I meant by that. So you're just watching the coin flip the whole game, but there's a guy in a bear mask named Gar apparently who watches you and like drinks, right? And I saw one forum-y post that was like, if we can figure out like the right point in that cycle to start, it's not that drinking has anything to do with what you do. It just goes on sort of on a loop, kind of. And if we can figure out the right like cycle to start the game on with that, then theoretically we should be able to consistently generate the like right random number to have the perfect run. I could not tell you really what that means, but there seemed to be some optimism in following along with the right drinking moment and what that means for the seed. Anyway,
Sure.
That's over my head.
That sounds a little bit like it's playing into like, oh, this slot machine hasn't won in 5 days. It's due for a win. Which isn't true.
I think that what they're getting at, though, is it's not necessarily... Like, the game is not really generating a random flip every time. It's just generating a seed that has a set of flips. Maybe? I couldn't... That's what that seemed to imply to me, but I don't know. I simply don't know enough about how games work to know if that's, like, real. But anyway, the point being that, obviously... You know, we all know that in Fire Emblem that if you have a 70% chance to hit, you're gonna miss.
No, actually.
That was...
I think it's at 70% in Fire Emblem, you still are better than 70%, is how it actually works.
Oh, is that true? Well, it doesn't feel that way, I guess. But yes, on the flip side, sometimes your odds are better than they are stated, so that it feels correct. And sometimes, I guess this is illegal sometimes. But, you know, like, your odds for a gacha game have to be stated correctly.
Yes.
And if they are overestimated, that's illegal.
Yes.
What I mean with Fire Emblem, I guess, that was a bad example of what I was getting at. But it's like, our understanding of probability is messed up because we don't understand how often
I mean, you're correct that Fire Emblem's the stated percentage number that Fire Emblem shows is not the same as what it actually is in most of their games.
They are trying to match
but
the
I just
vibe.
believe in modern ones, it's like weighted in your favor until you get about to like in the 50s somewhere, and then it starts being weighted against you. But I don't remember exactly.
Regardless.
But for a lot of it, it's weighted more in your favor than you would think.
Perfect example, though, of us seeing the percentages on the screen and not trusting it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely playing into that, too. On top of our literal lack of understanding of what 25% means.
Yeah.
And also superstition.
Yeah.
And also superstition even when we think superstition is dumb.
Yeah. I did watch, like, I guess 20 minutes of Northern Lion playing Unfair Flips. That was enough for me. Nothing specific against Northern Lion, just, like, I couldn't watch anybody do this for more than 20 minutes, I think.
It's like a fun game to exist if you're a streamer who wants to have a little bit more of a hangout stream, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a fun interact with your community because it requires nothing of you.
Yeah.
You click.
Yeah. But, like, even there, you know, you start, like, throwing out, like, oh, maybe if the coin comes entirely to a rest first, right? Rather than just, like, clicking on it. Or, you know, maybe if I upgrade the coin during my streak, that'll make the coin mad at me.
Yeah.
And it'll give up the ghost. That sort of stuff of just like throwing out like random ideas in your head that is not at all how the game works, but you are certain that it must be how the game works. Unfair Flips does not have a pity system, basically.
But that's why I find it hard to, like, I think of it as a game that is so attuned to our, like, Twitch streaming era, right? This is not a game that strikes me, I don't know, whatever. I like winning as much as the next person. I like the number go up, ooh, am I going to get there this time, as much as the next person. But this strikes me as a game that would be, like, so much less fun to play sitting by yourself. Or even less fun to play, like, sitting with your roommate than it would be to play, like, one person's playing and there's 100 people going, like, oh no, like, Remy the coin, he hates us, or whatever.
I mean, I think that it's interesting because I feel like as a game, it is almost not really trying to be fun.
No,
right? Or rather, it's trying to be as little
fun as it can be while
still being
flipping.
fun, right? And sure, making it into a community experience does add to the fun of it.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, you know, at a certain time of day or for a certain kind of brain, like, maybe you get in your head that, yeah, this is fun. You know, or I'm doing something, or I'm playing.
I guess
right?
I get the appeal of it as, like, a brain reset in a, like, Pomodoro situation, right? I'm gonna flip for 5 minutes and see if I get through. But, I don't know, there were some reviews that did, like, sort of mention that, like, why do we even play games? Or how do we choose what games to play when there are so many games to play? And there's also that in my head about this game. I'm like, this is an interesting philosophical experiment, psychological experiment, but, like, it has no respect for my time, which is the whole point. And what do I get for ending it other than the sense of emptiness of the time that I spent?
A little graphic.
That's, yeah.
Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
I
like that I think it's funny that it's in Archipelago, which is the, like, randomizer, you know, like, streaming thing, right? Mm-hmm. Where, like, I could be playing Pokemon Blue and you could be playing flips, unfair flips, and, like, I might have to wait for you to get 8 in a row for me to get the pewter badge or whatever. Like, I think that's funny. But yeah, it's, like, it's more interesting to me as a, like, thing that exists in the game ecosystem than a game itself.
Sure. I mean, that's part of the what's nice about you know, there's tons of stuff that's not nice about our very democratized ability to release games.
Yep.
But there's space for these very weird sorts of experiments, and a space that potentially gets them put in front of a lot more eyes than if you did something similar with books or movies, right?
Yeah.
Because there's just the one place.
Right.
Also, some downsides to that, perhaps.
Sure.
But
shout out to the variety streamers, I guess, for keeping these weird little games alive.
But no, I mean, like, the fact that Steam is such a monopoly, and also that anybody can put anything on Steam, it's very flat and very democratized in that way, and so you can put something like Unfair Flips out that is sort of a philosophical question on what even is a game, what's even the point of playing games, what am I getting out of this, and normal people can find it, and not just freaks.
This is definitely a game. I'm going to come out and say that. It asks the question, what's the point? But it's definitely a game.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply it's not a game.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it might ask that question. I don't even know that I feel like it's asking that question. I think it's asking, what's wrong with you? But
I guess what I meant by that is it's a game that is stripping the idea of a game down to its most fundamental.
Right.
Right. There's no... I mean, I guess there's a paragraph of lore for you.
Yeah.
But that's about as much dressing up as it's getting. As opposed to, yeah, I'm training horse girls.
Right.
You know.
So, Emma, what's your amazing mashup of these two games?
Flip this coin and get heads, or your girlfriend will turn into a monster.
That feels too unfun.
It's a horror game, Ellen.
But don't I lose on the first flip, like, at least half of the time?
No, she doesn't. It's not like a snap thing, Madeline. Like parts of her.
Okay.
Like Hangman.
How, like, do I have an opportunity like this game to increase my odds?
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you.
Maybe like Inscription, you could like sacrifice parts of your own body to get more ability to flip the coin to help your girlfriend from turning into a monster.
What does that matter though, right? Like, how does that impact me?
It's a horror game.
I'm struggling to feel connected to these characters. No, genuine. Like, that was a joke, but also genuinely. That's my question about the sacrificing parts of your own body is, it's not my body, right? If this was Saw 8 or whatever, I know Saw is bad. I think we've decided Saw is bad. But, like, you know, if this were one of those horror movies and I was in the situation where I'm, like, flipping the coin to save my, like, beloved slug girlfriend or whatever, that's different. I might have to think about at what point I stop cutting off my own limbs. But if I'm just a game character where all my gameplay is flipping a coin, sure, whatever, cut off my leg.
All right. You have a stronger stomach than me.
Well, am I like watching it? Like how
I mean, when you gouge your eyes out in Inscription, I always had to look away because I couldn't do that.
I guess I just didn't like. I was imagining this in the similar kind of like first person, I guess.
Yeah,
point of
first
view.
person. So when you gouge your eye out,
okay, sure, yes, that I'll agree is gross. Okay, if there was
or
a way
cut your own limbs off. I don't know.
boy.
I'm just saying.
Like, I think we are once again towing the line of like what's fun, but I'll acknowledge.
To be fair, their next Heather Flowers' next game was like I can't remember what it's called now. The game where you use the knife in between your fingers.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same sort of game, but it's the game where you use the knife in between
funny.
your fingers.
Sure.
So kind of sort of like that, in terms of like, yeah, you can cut off your fingers, or like maybe you balance like, oh yeah, you can cut off one finger for a little bit, but if you just go straight for the whole arm, like, is that like a bundle savings, right?
I think the only way this works is, yeah, if we are like really punishing the player with the gruesomeness of it. Now, that being said, the repeat playthrough of it is going to be challenging. Like, the player is going to get desensitized to watching their arm get cut off. Or at the very least, they're going to learn how to mute their computer for that section or whatever. So, I hear you. Yeah, I think the challenge of this game is, on one hand, if it's too unfair, then it's not fun, right? Like, the stakes are what Unfair Flips does well to a certain extent is there are no stakes except your own stupid desire to win. And if it's like, no, like, your girlfriend will die if you don't flip the coin right, that is like either a lot of stakes to feel upset about for something that is like so unfair, or it's like, okay, well, that's not really my girlfriend, so who cares?
I guess I am saying, like, can we make a game that's just like me, who's never seen a Saw movie?
Me either. I'm going off of, in Saw, they make them do crazy things.
That is kind of like a Saw trap.
Yeah.
So rather than like the relentless pace of something like Unfair Flips, there's like breaks of like conversation between you and your girlfriend.
Right.
There's various things that you can sacrifice, like either on yourself or on her, that like turn whatever game that's weighted against you that you're playing for you, and like you get varying endings depending on those sorts of choices, as well as how lucky you were in whatever sort of trap you were engaged in.
I think it has to delete itself at the end, but yes.
I mean, it could be a short sort of 1 hour experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't because everybody would refund it and we'd lose money. But
Yeah.
in a perfect world, it could be a short sort of 1 hour sort of art piece experience.
Yeah.
It would be kind of fun to do a game like this. I know they are literally making a Saw game, but do a game like this where it's like you and another player. Like negotiating your way.
Sure, a prisoner's dilemma, the game.
Yeah.
That is kind of interesting. And it gets into like it's about two things.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm intrigued by the co-op or not co-op. That's the best direction this has gone so far. I had something else and now it's gone. Maybe it'll come back. I know what it was. You can get better odds if you leave the game running for an hour. Like, the game is really an hour long, but you could increase your odds if you leave it running long enough to get past the refund window.
Your captor is just like, if you don't refund this game, if you sacrifice your desire to refund this game, I will up your percentage by 10%.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I think it's pretty good.
I don't know about this game, but some games should use that. That's pretty good.
You're right. It might not be totally right, but... Alright, I've latched onto Prisoner's Dilemma, the game.
Okay.
I do feel like that is maybe... I also think that there's a way to horror game this, but I don't think the horror game version would be able to be very replayable, in my opinion.
That's fair.
Which is fine. I don't need this game. Like, I don't need it to feel like Unfair Flips where it's gonna, like, go on and on. And, like, maybe, honestly, Unfair Flips is not that replayable in the end. Once you get the ending, how many people... I'd love data on this. How many people continue to play?
Yeah.
Once they have made it to an ending? Who are not streamers. Percentage has got to be low. And I understand percentages.
All right. Any other mashup ideas?
A game where at the end, if you get the good ending or the bad ending, is literally just a coin flip.
I like that. That's kind of mean in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not I don't know. They do this in they do that in Zero Time Dilemma, the third of the Zero Escape trilogy from Uchikoshi, where the first decision is literally pick heads or tails.
Awesome.
And then the game proceeds from there based on what that was. You either get a very early ending or you continue.
You could probably also, I mean, I don't think people would like this, but yeah, like a choice-based type game, branching paths where, like, yeah, you don't actually get to make the choices.
Yeah.
But I think people would not like that.
In some ways, that's just D&D, right?
Yeah, that's true. But do we like D&D? No, I'm just kidding, obviously. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Have you played Unfair Flips? Would Unfair Flips be better if it had a Wii version where you were flipping the coin with your Wiimote? I think yes.
Obviously.
Much as the game doesn't ask the question, is it a game? It also doesn't ask, would this be more fun with a Wiimote? Answer, yes. Let's see. Would you, if your girlfriend was turning into a slug, go and find the freaky monster meat to feed to her? Or would you decide that you would rather cut off a few limbs to save her, if that was easier? Do you believe, though, that the coin actually does kind of care what you do? And ultimately it is going to be revealed in, like, a year that you should just let it rest for 2 seconds between each one, and then you will get 10 heads in a row right away. Do you wish you were a speedrunner who could just click, 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 click all day? Do you wish you were a slug lady who could just clean and translate stuff all day? If you have thoughts about this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat, and read our blog. But most importantly, I should have written, is Pac-Man a vegetarian for this episode? It's correct. Would you feed Pac-Man monster meat if it would save him from turning into one of the ghosts? Think about it. But most importantly, if you enjoy the show, you should subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe to Talk This so you never miss an episode on Sundays at noon Eastern. Next week, it's 6 weeks in gaming. Wowza woza. Maybe I'll flip a coin a few times and pretend that counts.
Does kinda. You could analog do unfair flips yourself, although it'd be set at 50, obviously.
You could weight the coin.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of work.
There is probably some way to make a 20% coin.
Yeah.
But then I don't know how you would then up it to 25%.
Yeah, you just have to have different coins, probably.
That's true. But Emma, in 2 weeks, I guess for our 4th of July episode,
yeah,
our Independence Day weekend episode, what are we talking about?
In 2 weeks, speaking of probability, the random choice generator gave me first the ones we just did this week.
Whoa.
For both the old and new game.
Emma should get on unfair flips now.
But it pulled again. And so for our old games, the old game will be Elite Beat Agents. And the new game will be Mina the Hollower.
So, God bless America, I guess.
Yeah, nothing more patriotic than that.
That's it for this week's show. Thanks for listening. Emma, sign us off.
This week, I wish you luck with all of your coins.